Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We have a national champion. More on that later. Let's take a look at how we did on the recap screen before we bring in the stars of the show. 4-6. That's not a very good record. I lose my first 5. Chip goes 2 for 4. Tom Casale loses that Houston over, partly because Houston just kind of broke down at the end of the game. 1 for 2 on SportsLine Picks. 4-6 is not going to get it done. So we're going to bring in the stars of the show, and we're going to try to get it done with all of you. And these three, we've got prop stars. We've got Mike McClure, and we've got Steck-Up, aka Buckets. Buckets, did the feds come in and raid your place after giving out like an absolute super lock on Friday?
They did, but I think they saw my place and felt pretty bad for me. So they let me off with a warning, and we're back to normal over here.
Fair enough. Prop stars, how you doing today? Are we delivering with MLB picks or NBA picks today?
Still sticking with the hardwood here, Sia. This is my favorite part of the NBA season as we gear up towards the NBA playoffs. I contest, if you're not a hoops fan, watching the NBA playoffs, you definitely see teams turn it up to another level, much higher effort level consistently every night. You see defense being played both ends of the court. So, yeah, I'm really hyped up. I can't wait to get into MLB props, though, but I'm still gathering some data there.
It's very true. Much more fan interest as well when the playoffs start. And we're going to have like months worth of playoffs because that's how the NBA playoffs work. So we got a lot of basketball ahead. But Mike McClure, a lot of people asking about the Masters and picks that they like. And maybe we'll get to a couple of picks that we talked about over the last couple of days. Of course, our betting show's tonight at 7. But I got to reflect with you on the national championship game last night. I thought Houston was going to win. Certainly looked like Houston was going to win. Things kind of broke down for them in the second half. Florida's our champion. Your reaction?
Yeah, it was a great game, honestly. Great Final Four, great national title. Loved the tournament overall. That's what I love about college basketball, though, honestly, is just it's such a game of runs. Runs you don't see too often like that in the NBA, even, frankly. Just what seems improbable. Look, I love Kelvin Sampson. I think he got outcoached in the second half of that game. I think that they had many opportunities to put it away. And I was so disappointed with Houston at the end of the game. Down 1, 45 seconds left, not opting to go 2 for 1. Just really, really negative in terms of maximizing their win probability in that moment. I would have understood it if it was 37, 38 seconds. But when you've got 15 seconds to get up a shot, to ensure a 2 for 1, it made absolutely no sense that they didn't attempt it.
I think the big tragedy there in Buckets, Steck-Up, Buckets, and Prop Stars, I don't know if you were watching the game last night, but to not get a shot off, I mean, a couple of those Houston players just didn't have good games, if we're being honest. It was LJ Cryer and it kind of and Roberts, and it felt like kind of everybody else. To not get a shot off in that moment, I mean, I almost felt, Mike, like they stole the moment from us because we're so used to seeing, whether they make or miss, we're so used to seeing that last second shot. We've got that Butler shot still in our minds against Duke, the Villanova shot to win the title against North Carolina. Like, to not even get a shot off, it's just like, oh no, the moment's gone. We never got the moment. And that, I think that was my big frustration. Can I ask you, Mike, before we introduce ourselves to Venom, Duke was the best team in college basketball, correct?
Duke was the best team in college basketball. I can let someone argue that Florida it was because Florida won the title. I really think not only did we got robbed of that last second shot, we got robbed of Duke versus Florida is what we got robbed of. But it was all in all still good. It'll be very interesting. I would like to see some of the Duke players return for another year, run it back. It normally would be no question, never happening. But in the days of NIL, you never know. So I would be interested to see what happens there. That's
a very interesting NIL point. All right, Prop Stars. Well, we have Buckets, we have Mike, we have you, but we also, this is the first time I'm seeing him or her, Venom, introduce us.
This is Venom's first appearance in the SportsLine family. So, yeah, he's all of 9 weeks old. I think he weighs 2 pounds. He's half Maine Coon. So if you're not familiar with that cat breed, they get extremely large. They're really furry. They kind of look like lions as well. They have very puffy chests. And yeah, he's just a little ball of love and energy. And he's been the most incredible addition to the Prop Stars family. So yeah, he is here. I'll give you a peek at him again. His birthday is on January 28th. That's when he was born. And yeah, he's just a little ball of love.
Wow.
And he's so cool. He's so interested and brave and curious. He gets along great with Goose and Margot, and he's just been just an unbelievable addition to the family.
That is fantastic. All right. Well, PropStarz, we go from Venom to maybe a player that plays with Venom. I'm trying to do like a but Anthony Edwards, I mean, he does play with a certain conviction. Talk to me about points, rebounds, and assists tonight for Anthony Edwards.
Indeed, Sia. Yeah, we're going to back Ant here. Going to go over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Anthony Edwards tonight against the Bucks. Newsflash, if you haven't watched Anthony Edwards this season, not only did he make 300 3-pointers, he became, I believe, just the 4th player in NBA history to accomplish that. He's really turned into basically Steph Curry, but a 6'6" version that just can leap out the building with a 40-inch vertical leap. But he's playing absolutely incredible basketball. I think Anthony Edwards has firmly established himself as a top 5 player in the NBA. I also think he's going to turn it up to another level once we reach the playoffs. I think Minnesota is a serious dark horse. The Western Conference is obviously stacked 1 through 8. Wouldn't surprise me if any of these teams came through, but I just watch Anthony Edwards and he's a human highlight reel. He makes some of the most spectacular in-game dunks I have ever seen, and he's playing tremendous basketball right now down the stretch. We're getting a discount on this line as well. He averages close to 39 PRA on the season. I think it's a healthy matchup against the Bucks and Giannis. I know he'll be excited to duel versus Giannis. It's still a must-win game for Minnesota as well. So there's motivation certainly on the Timberwolves' part. So I expect a full allotment of minutes, and I expect him to ball out tonight against the Bucks and Giannis, going over 35.5 PRA. Yes, I would play it for a full unit at 36.5 as well.
Speaking of basketball, we have our top 3 that we're going to put up later in the show in our early edge bracket challenge. Obviously, the winner gets stuff, a Paramount Plus 1-year subscription. And I believe that person gets to come onto this show if they feel so inclined and give out a pick. So we're going to put up the top 3. Obviously, we could probably put up the top 10 because being inside the top 10 is very impressive as well. But we'll put up the top 3 in a little bit. All right, so PropStarz not only has given you the play, but he's given you what he'd play it up to if it's a different line now. Absolutely love that. All right, Buckets. We had people in the chat talking about Champions League. You've got a Champions League pick, but you've got another pick as well.
Yes, see, we have Champions League this afternoon, but we also have the English Championship. So I don't want to confuse people here, which is why we're doing the exact same bet on both of these games. In the English Championship, we're looking at Middlesbrough taking on Leeds United, and we're taking both teams to score at -120. Leeds is fighting desperately for promotion back into the English Premier League, but they are coming off back-to-back draws where they saw both teams to score hit in all 3 of those matches. Meanwhile, Middlesbrough is the worst team, but they're the team in better form playing at home. I love goals in this game, and if you look at how they've played the last couple of years, their last 4 games have seen the over hit in all 4 of them, and both teams have scored a hit in 3 of them as well. So we're just betting on goals in this first one. Then the big one that everyone is going to care about this afternoon, we've got Mikel Arteta's Arsenal hosting Ancelotti's Real Madrid. I said that name wrong. Just bear with me here. Once again, both teams to score at -110. And this is a tricky one because Arsenal has shown they're a very defensive-minded team, but not so much when they're playing in Champions League and not when they have the injuries they have currently. Takahiro Tomiyasu is out. Ricardo Calafiori is out. Gabriel Magalhaes is out. They are missing too many big defenders to stop Real Madrid from scoring, which means they are going to have to score themselves if they want to keep this first leg competitive. I think we see a lot of goals in this matchup, so the fact that we can get both teams to score at almost even money is something I'll take every time in Champions League.
All right, we got 2 soccer picks right there. We did have a question, Buckets, from Jeff Stenberg. He says, do we like Real Madrid team total over 1.5 at +170?
We do, and we also like Real Madrid draw no bet at +110. I did an article for SportsLine as well as having a play on the SportsLine site under the UCL analysis tab. I think Real Madrid, frankly, are still the better side, even though they are in poor form. We can talk about football heritage and Champions League and all of that, but I do like that shout at +170.
All right. We have more questions. If you have more questions in for soccer, let us know, and we will get those over to Buckets. Maybe some baseball questions in the chat as well. We've got a couple of baseball picks, or at least one baseball pick, courtesy of Amags, who I'm sure you'll see later this week, perhaps the sniper as well. Oh, Amags is in the chat as well. Okay, that's good to know. Well, Amags likes the Dodgers. If you remember SportsLine, he's got the Dodgers run line, -1.5 at -114, trying to avenge the loss to the Nationals yesterday. Dodgers -1.5 at -114. And then we've got Mikey B, who has been red hot. He's got a couple of picks on SportsLine, so you're not going to just want to check out this one. He's got Paulo Banchero over 28.5 points at -115. A pick from A-Mags, a pick from Mikey B. But we got to get a Masters pick from me, Mike, and maybe some Masters conversation as well. And then, of course, you've got a pitcher prop that you got to put out there. Patrick Corbin Day, anyone, says Japan. Maybe, Mike, we'll get your thoughts on that as well. Not playing for the Nationals anymore, but playing today. We're going to cover it all right after this message from our partners.
She knows, and I know she knows.
All right, we're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. The Early Edge Bracket Challenge. I think Ben has the top 3 finishers. Of course, you would have had to have picked Florida. I see people that finished like 15th and 22nd who had Houston, who obviously would have won easily. It came down to that final minute. But Carson Kohlmeyer with 172 points. Looks like he took it all. B. Charlton comes in second place, and DJ Couch comes in third. So Carson Kohlmeyer, hopefully you'll be getting in touch with us. Maybe we'll be getting in touch with you. Either way, you have a chance. If you're in the chat, let us know. You have a chance to come onto this show and give out a pick. Mike, before I give out my nationality play, my first Masters play on the Early Edge betting show tonight at 7 o'clock, there were a few people in the chat who said they really liked live players this week. Is there a particular live player that you like to potentially win it all this week?
Absolutely. Love Bryson this week. I think that he offers a lot of value in the betting market across all the markets, and still showing a little value on Reed as well.
Yeah, I like Patrick Reed as well. Not particularly in the outright market necessarily, maybe in the top 20, top 30 market, depending on how conservatively I want to play it. Bryson makes sense. I don't think he's going to be on my outright card, Mike, because my outright card is super short. I'll have the official card later tonight, but I'm debating between or among Xander and Colin. That might be my only 2 outrights. Maybe I'll throw in a long shot in the without market. But for now, I'm going to give you all a top Canadian pick. This is something that EC has been putting out there. I've been putting out there a little bit. We've been leaning, particularly EC, to his credit, he's been leaning on Corey Connors in the top Canadian market. And it's been cashing. And it's because Corey Connors has been very consistent. He's got a really good Masters track record. Now, who's he going up against? It's Mike Weir, former champion, senior tour. Like, he's not really going to factor in. He's 14-1. Taylor Pendrith and Nick Taylor. I like Nick Taylor. I think Nick Taylor's metrics look pretty good. His Masters track record, not so much. So I think fading Nick Taylor and Taylor Pendrith, who has never played at the Masters before and might have some short game issues, got to have good short game here. And he doesn't really, certainly not lately, hasn't had it. So I think the best course fit among those 4 by a long shot is Corey Connors. This was plus 120 yesterday. So the market is clearly kind of jumping in on this. I think in some places it's even like down to -110, -120. I think I'd still play it at -120. I certainly wouldn't go further than that, but you can absolutely get Corey Connors plus 100 at the major books still. So I have Corey Connors top Canadian. And again, on the early wedge tonight, it'll be me, EC, Jason Sobel. I don't know if Patrick's going to be joining us from Augusta, but we'll be giving out our best bets across the board. Mike, you've got a best MLB bet. And then after you give it, I got to give out I got to have you talk about Patrick Corbin Day, maybe some other games that people are asking in the chat about. What you got on Chris Sale, though?
You know, I'm fading Chris Sale an 8th strikeout. And I will tell you, if you've never bet pitcher strikeouts, fading Chris Sale is never fun because he does have the ability to strike out 12 or 13 batters essentially every time he takes the mound. But when I look at this spot, I think it's a tough spot for him to start the season overall. His first 2 matchups against the Padres, the Dodgers, and now he gets the Phillies, 3 teams that could very well make the playoffs there and be contenders. And the pitch counts, 84 and 87 in each of those. I don't think we're seeing Chris Sale touch 100 pitches in this particular spot. So for me, I think it's mostly just simply fading how deep he's going, looking at 22 and 23 batters faced. If we're talking less than 25 batters faced overall, I think the strikeout rate is just simply too high for a number at 7.5. I did play this -112. You can find that available on multiple exchanges right now if you have access to that. But under 7.5, I really think the number should be 6.5, around even money. So I like this a lot because of that 8th strikeout. And I just don't think we're seeing that 100 to 110 pitch game from Chris Sale in this particular spot. Having Trey Turner back at the top of the lineup, I think helps quite a bit for the Phillies. Ultimately, just a play on the number here again should be 6.5 at even money. The fact that you could still get 7.5 minus 112 out there, I would definitely scoop those up. I would expect this 7.5 minus 136 to also basically disappear by first pitch and become 6.5.
Okay. Talk to me about Patrick Corbin Day. Patrick Corbin now plays for a team that you've kind of adopted in the betting market, at least long term. Texas Rangers. They're playing the Cubs. It's another
team I've adopted. Yes.
Yeah.
I got futures on both of them.
Exactly. And we know that from our futures show. And it's another cold day. You know, I had that first 5 yesterday, which crashed and burned. Any thoughts on, again, it's a good pitching environment for Corbin, but any thoughts on that game whatsoever?
Yeah, very good pitching environment. I am not attacking Patrick Corbin much here. I had slight interest in under 3.5 Ks, but ultimately not going after it. Look, it's very, very strong pitching weather in this particular ballpark, especially for left-handed pitchers. That is an issue in this park. It's very advantageous for lefties. It's kind of why the Cubs went out and signed more lefties. They've got Justin Steele. They brought in Matthew Boyd. It's a tough place to hit for right-handed hitters. So I would not be attacking Patrick Corbin here today. I'm not saying go back him by any means, but I would mostly just be off of it. I mean, you're talking wind chills in the upper 20s in that game. Just not fun weather to hit in.
I want to ask you, Mike, a follow-up on a good hitting environment, and that, of course, is in Sacramento with the Padres playing days. I just have a question about that environment in particular, even though we're not in the summertime yet. Still a good environment there with that setup. Before I do that, though, we didn't have a BetMGM ad read today, which is rare, but I do want to take that time, just to the next 10 seconds, to tell you that thank you for being in here. Hit the like button, and thank you for always doing that. But the other thing is, if you've never rated the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please do that, because it definitely helps the show, even more so than hitting the like button and all the participation in here. It takes like 5 seconds. You hit 5 stars. Maybe you write a sentence or two about how much you like the show or particular personalities on the show or whatever the case may be. If you can do that for us, that would be super helpful. I'll probably start saying that maybe once or twice a week over the next few weeks, just because it's not something I normally say. But go ahead and review the podcast again on Apple or Spotify. It would absolutely help quite a bit. Mike, talk to me about, do you see any home run value in a park like Sacramento when you're looking at the Padres, a really great hitting team so far? Is it like, I know you don't like necessarily put out home run props and things of that nature, but is that something to target, or do we wait till the summertime to target that environment?
For me, it'll be waiting for summertime for sure. Probably another 3 weeks or so is when we really start getting, weather peaks that really matter in terms of helping hitting, right? Obviously they matter now in terms of betting unders. I know no one wants to do that. But in terms of attacking overs and looking for positive hitting environments, I would say we're about 3 weeks away from having those random spikes a couple days a week.
Buckets, Rob Johnson says Manny Machado, who, by the way, plays for the Padres, is way overdue to go the yard. Can you give us any insight as to whether Manny Machado is going to hit a home run today?
I only know my boy Jorge Soler and whoever he plays now. So I think he got traded again, right?
I don't know. Is he still on the Giants? Yeah, he's still on the Giants, I think. So, yeah, I think he's still on the team he was on last year. Let's see. Buckets was – is he not? Did he get traded?
He's on the Angels.
My bad. Okay.
Yep.
Angels have been hitting. So, Soler's going yard today, Buckets?
Sure.
Okay.
I believe they brought him in to serve as a hitting coach for one Mike Trout.
Very interesting. All right. Buckets, any soccer questions before we get to the recap screen?
There are people asking about the matchup between Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. That's the other Champions League match taking place this afternoon. It's a very tricky one to bet because Bayern Munich just lost 2 of their best players with Alphonso Davies as well as Jamal Musiala, both being injured for potentially the rest of the season. And Inter Milan has one of the best defensive records, not only in Italy or Champions League, but in all of Europe. So that's a game that could either end 0-0 or could be one of those crazy 3-2 shootouts. If I had to play anything there, I'm probably looking at Inter Milan double chance, though, because I'm not that confident in my boys Bayern Munich right now.
All right. And Justin says, I need a Champions League lean for today. I summoned the mighty Buckets, but you gave one out, right, already?
Well, there's my lean. Take Inter Milan double chance. Then my play already for this show was Arsenal, both teams to score.
PropStarz Aaron Taylor tailored winnings says Clippers team total over 120.5. He's going to put a unit and a half on it. He says they crushed the Spurs and score while doing it. Any thoughts on the Clippers going off and getting over 120.5?
Makes a lot of sense. They're playing great basketball on both ends, and yeah, they're fully healthy. They look great. Look like a viable title contender. Spurs play up tempo as well, not good defensively. So, yeah.
All right. We have Amags in the chat. What I love about Amags being in the chat is he's handling a lot of the baseball questions. You're going to see him on this show, I think, later on in the week, along with Sniper. Just so much baseball coming your way, but so much NBA coming your way, soccer as usual, and Masters coverage. I'm going to have Masters picks throughout the week. I have round matchups usually starting on Wednesday for Thursday morning, Thursday, and Friday. So just a ton of Masters stuff coming up. Of course, the betting show tonight at 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. All right, top Canadian. I've got Corey Connors plus 100. All right, that's top Canadian again, top in region, top nationality, depending on how your book describes it. We've got Middlesbrough versus Leeds, both teams to score at minus 120, and Arsenal versus Real Madrid, both teams to score at minus 110. Those are obviously from buckets. We got Chris Sale under 7.5 strikeouts at minus 136. That's from Mike McClure. And then PropStarz has Anthony Edwards over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 120. SportsLine Picks, LA Dodgers minus 1.5 at minus 114. That's courtesy of Amags, who is still in the chat. And yes, Amags, I know that Mike McClure was joking about that. Paulo Banchero over 28.5 points at minus 115. That's from Mikey B. And these guys, Amags, Mikey B, they've got more on SportsLine. So go to sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. All right, anything we need to clean up, gentlemen? I don't think so. I think we answered most of the questions. We'll get to more of your questions tomorrow. Let's have a great Tuesday on behalf of Buckets, on behalf of PropStarz, on behalf of Mike McClure and Venom, and Ben on the 1s and 2s. And 3s and 4s. Thank you, Amags, for being in the chat. Thank you all for participating. And don't forget, go review the podcast if you can. Or it takes literally 5 to 10 seconds on Apple or Spotify. Very much appreciated. We'll see you tonight on the Early Wedge at 7 o'clock. And we'll see you right here tomorrow on the Early Edge at 10 o'clock. We rest our case.